Before, Super Broly's 5L was a 10-frame startup move. Really abysmal. One reason that this 5L was pretty abysmal before with its 10-frame startup is that Broly couldn't use it in situations where he had some plus frames to work with. Its slow startup meant that a 6-frame jab would pretty much beat it every time, so he'd have to rely on his 2L in these situations, which was a stubby normal that couldn't chase backdashes. Now, it's been sped up by 2 frames. Broly appreciates this, as having a faster normal to work with his kit is something that the character desperately needs, and I wish that this was applied to some other normals of his as well. With it being 2 frames faster, he's now actually able to beat these 5-frame 5Ls in this vanish situation. This is really good for him because 5L actually covers a lot of options in this vanish situation. If the opponent chooses to reflect, you're able to 5L, beating their 5L mash, as well as then Gatling into a 5M, being reflect proof. And like before, the opponent can't backdash this either, but now you're able to beat out their mash option, their reflect option, and their backdash option with this 5L when Broly vanishes in. This is a really good buff for the character. Super Broly didn't really route into his full auto combo before, as it just didn't do as much damage or bar build as his other routes. And it seems like Bandai had a bone to pick with that, because they gave this a pretty crazy buff. Now when he goes into this, he builds a bar meter. Not only that, this seems to be immune to any sort of meter penalty that I can notice in the game. It gives him a bar while he's an EX meter penalty. And after he vanish confirms. And it gives him a bar when he's in level 3 penalty. Pretty crazy change to give to the character. I did not have making Super Broly a consistent battery character on the team in my 2024 bingo card. His 5H now has increased movement speed, going pretty fast and fairly far. Fully charged, it's 42 frame startup. Compare that to before. He gets about a half screen distance away, and now in the new version, he gets about 3/4 of the way there. Fully charged, it is 2 frames faster. The extra speed and range will give him opportunities to make new links happen at ranges that he couldn't before. In addition to that, he's also now able to Gatling into his 6 heavy throw. However, comboing into it seems to be a bit tricky. A slight delay in the corner will set you straight. His jump medium has adjusted knockback and increased stun time. Let's go ahead and take a simple look at how it behaved before. As you can see, you couldn't link a Dragon Rush there. And now, you can. This is simply one implication of this change overall. Super Broly tends to have a hard time getting solo slide knockdown without expending some resource for it or needing an assist. So being able to use this in the back pocket just to get a slide knockdown to then go into some of his OTG throw extensions is something that he will appreciate. But there's also his implications to how he's going to be able to use it in his orb routes. The duration of his J2H has been increased. I think this is namely to make it go a little farther, possibly adding in new links as well as making it a larger neutral threat than it was before. Speaking of before, you can see how short the range was. Barely a lunge forward. Like the rest of the cast, Broly can now cancel his jump special into jump heavies, and for him, this is actually very important. Because he's able to take advantage of the fact that he can slow down his JS by holding up during the input, the opponent is trapped in the hit stun of the ball, carrying it to the ground and then exploding. He's then able to whiff a jump heavy and then take action while the opponent is still in the hit stun of the ball, creating these new orb loops that he can do mid-screen or in the corner. Just to give you an idea, it's very possible to do multiple reps of that same loop that I just demonstrated. The aerial version of his medium raging Quake has had its trajectory adjusted. Before, it was pretty straight downwards, but just slightly farther than his light version. This is the new trajectory. He goes dramatically much more farther than before, which does help him slightly when he uses this in combos to increase his corner carry and differentiates it a little more from the light version as well. It's certainly going to be a thing that he has new combo routes because of this change as well. All versions of his command throw, Gigantic Fury, have increased movement speed, meaning they have more range. We'll go ahead and demonstrate each one sequentially. This opens up a couple opportunities for Broly to threaten command throws at ranges that he couldn't do so before, changing some of his Okizeme options off of level 3 that I know for sure of, as well as just being overall improvements. There's also some potentially new links that he can get out of this as well in combo routing. Compare all that to before. Very substantial difference, I think, across all versions. If you paid close attention to earlier in the video, you would have noticed I already spoiled the final change to talk about with Super Broly, and that's to his level 3 Gigantic Roar. Then another buff that he receives while he's in this shirtless state is that now he just builds Ki Gauge automatically. You can see it start during the cinematic even. Having passive meter build is pretty unique for the character, and I think actually plays pretty well into the thematics of the character himself. He's a Saiyan that doesn't know how to control this power, and it's literally bursting forth from him almost limitlessly. So overall, I actually think it's a pretty cool thematic direction to take the character overall. Throughout most of his life, Super Broly has been considered one of the weaker characters in the game, and while he's been appreciating the string of buffs that Bandai Namco has given him over the years, they've never been most of the buffs that people want. He still doesn't have a medium normal that's fast enough to punish a guard cancel. He has to rely on light starters for that. He still has pretty terrible frame data on all of his normals, so he doesn't have great stagger pressure. However, Bandai has continued to give him new routes, more damage, and now he actually has a whole new identity to him as a potential battery for his team. He's able to fuel his own need to self-destruct everything around him by going into the auto combos to build a bar every single time he does it, regardless of the situation, as well as just generate infinite meter over a very slow period of time after he gets the shirtless install, if you will. It's pretty fun and unique to see the way that Bandai Namco has buffed the character in a thematic way, and while they haven't fixed many core issues with him, I think that he's actually in a pretty decent spot overall. Just having these new access to combo routes as well as some potential new pressure sequences with the buffs to his command throws mean that he's very much an all-in character that kills you when he touches you at any given moment before. I know that Big Chap Alien has been happy labbing the changes to the character and finding more things to do with it, but there are still a few core issues to the character overall that I think may hold him back from other people experimenting with them. Still, I think he's a fun character to play, and maybe we'll see some other people try him out.